So when it comes down to making YouTube videos, there are a lot of different ways that you can make YouTube videos. You can either do animation or voice recordings, do meme videos, or like a lot of people, including myself, I throw a camera in front of me and I decide to do what I'm talking about right now. But today I want to talk about a particular product that I recently bought like basically a month ago. And most times when it comes down to making YouTube videos, I have to have a camera to be able to do videos with, which is why today I am going to review this camera, the Sony ZV-1F.
Woke up on the west side, listening to beach, I was taking my time.
So I want to say before I look at this camera, I do want to say that this is probably going to be one of the last videos I will film with this iPhone, like at least one of the last videos I will film on this YouTube channel with this iPhone. Because recently I have actually switched over to this camera. Like I've used this for a few videos already. I actually really like this camera, although I will talk about and look around the camera in a minute. So this is actually my very first camera, which I am dedicating towards making YouTube videos or other projects and stuff like that. I will also discuss of how I actually found this camera, or like what was my inspiration to buy this camera. So yeah, let's look at this camera. Alright, so here is the Sony ZV-1F, and as you can see, it's fairly hefty when it comes down to the size of it. When I actually got this camera before, I wasn't used to the size of a regular size point-and-shoot camera, so this thing was like, it seemed huge against the iPhone that I was recording with. This is just it's supposed to be a wind screen for the microphone. So I'm going to quickly take off the lens cover, and as you can see, this is what the lens looks like. As you can see, it is not one of those lenses where it retracts in and out, like when you turn it on and off. Now, I am not an expert on camera lenses and all that kind of stuff, but I do like the form factor of not having a retractable lens because of the idea of like this camera will be a little bit more sturdy because it won't have so much of a retractable lens. Like if you accidentally drop it, it won't break the lens. This is just a lanyard that I got off another point-and-shoot camera. I'll quickly show you ports real quickly. This is just a audio port, mini HDMI port, and USB-C on here too. So now taking a look at the top, we've got the slot for the windscreen cover for the microphone, which is right here. On and off button, different modes, zoom, the photo button, and you've got also the movie button or the recording button, which is actually its own separate button. And I think this is meant for like I think this is really depending on what kind of environment it is in, but I'm not entirely sure. We've got the battery compartment, which includes an SD card slot, which I have a 64 gigabyte card in here. We also have a battery in here, which I will quickly take out, which is just this. It does charge off of the USB-C, so you don't have to actually take out the battery, although you can replace batteries or swap batteries if you need to. Here's a tripod mount. Taking a quick look at the front, as you can see, there is no screen right away, but that's because it is a flip screen. Yes, it is a flip screen, and you could do this, so you could actually have it like that. You've got the menu button for all the settings. That includes like all these settings here, like the exposure and like the quality. You've got playback, so you can see all your pictures and videos, which you can also see here also can lead towards deleting pictures. This button also does this, which is product showcase mode, which is a feature that they apparently brought back to the Sony range. This button here gives you the accessibility to be able to change settings directly while it's in this screen where you can see what you're going to be recording. Although I don't really have the settings changed too much because I don't really have to change the settings. So you've got self timer, but you also have this, you could also turn on the self timer if you want to. And this button here, which is for the exposure. Now to quickly look at the screen real quickly, it is a screen that can go flip out. Like as you can see, you can flip it out like this, and then you can have it flip like this, and then you can close it like this so you can project the screen. But this also means that if you want to record videos or see yourself in the camera, you can do this. And yeah, I am recording with the iPhone, as you can see from this video. I'm gonna take a quick little test picture for you guys. So 3, 2, 1. I'm also gonna take a little quick test video before I keep talking about this camera. So as you can see, this is the quality of the camera, microphone, and all the camera and stuff like that. And yes, I am recording with the iPhone right now. I'll take some more pictures when it comes down to like everything like that. Now, talking about the standard resolution of this camera, the standard resolution that you could record it at, I think is 1080p at 60 frames per second. Although the highest is 4K at 60 frames. I mean, I do shoot my videos in 1080p alongside with like 60 frames per second, which I actually started shooting in 60 frames a couple months ago. I do want to say that this has a USB stream mode where you can plug it into the USB-C and then plug it into your computer, and also either stream with this camera or just do a few video calls with it. And I actually used this camera very recently for that exact purpose, because on Twitch, I actually did a Twitch stream with this camera, and I thought that the quality was very nice. It actually sounded very good. Now, quickly talking about the price tag of this camera before I go into telling you guys about my opinion about this camera. This camera was $500. I also want to say that I forgot to tell you that this camera was released in October of 2022. So, sorry, I'm filming with this camera, by the way, so yes, this isn't the Gen Touch. Not important, but hey, this camera was released in October of 2022. I'm also going to mention the fact that I bought this vlogging kit, which includes a mini tripod in it so you could stand the camera up, and it connects up to Bluetooth so you could do zoom and record movies and photos and stuff like that. This was $150 with an SD card that actually is in this camera. But now on to my opinions on this camera. Now I'm going to first talk about how I found this camera and kind of why I bought this camera in the first place. Now, how I found this camera was by this particular YouTube video right here, and that's because he ended up getting a unreleased version of this camera about a couple weeks before this camera would be released to the public, and that was enough to be able to persuade me to be able to buy this camera. It's a really nice camera. I like it. It's one of those things where when I switched from my iPhone to this camera, when I was doing it for the first couple of videos that I did on this channel with this, I liked the quality. I actually didn't really, I kind of thought it was a nice change for the channel anyway, or at least to the quality of Tomar's videos. Especially because I've normally most of the time filmed with my iPhone, and this was the very first camera that I could put towards YouTube more. Like, I wanted to be able to get myself a camera to be able to put towards YouTube and stuff like that. Because this thing it's just one of those things where it came up, and because I had enough money to spare on this camera, I was like, you know what, I'll buy this camera. Now on to what I think about this camera. Now, talking about generally just by itself, I love it. It's one of my favorite little things, and I want to say quickly that this has actually been great for a few of my projects which I've used. I took this to the Charlie Puth concert, and the one thing which I do have to say which was a huge downside with this camera, which that was one of those things where I had to sacrifice for it, was the zoom. Now the zoom is one thing which is unfortunately a downside with this camera, although if you're going up close towards things, that's not really going to matter as much. But because this doesn't have a retractable lens, you can't really zoom in that far. It can only do 2 times zoom. Now, to me, that's most of the time fine if I'm doing YouTube videos at this desk or in my room. But sometimes there's moments where I have to film certain things from a far enough distance, and because this camera can't zoom in that far, I can only get a small glimpse. The price was kind of one of those things where it showed the sacrifice for the zoom. But besides that, I really do like this camera. The quality of the microphone and the camera is really nice. I like the idea that it has a flip out screen, which was one downside which I did not like about my iPhone. If I wanted to just shoot in 60 frames per second, I had to use the back camera. I can't use the front camera to shoot in 60 frames. Pretty much, if I had to give a rating for this thing, I had to give it a 9 out of 10. It's a very nice camera. The zoom is one thing that you have to sacrifice if you're gonna go with this camera, but now I have to say, thank you guys for watching this video. It's been a long time since I've done a review, so I'm sorry I left a few things in, or a few things out. But I want to say, comment, like, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will get back to doing more regular videos soon, like in a couple of weeks. But hey, I'll see you guys later. Bye. And goodbye, iPhone.